Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Lorna Gutierrez, author of Dare. Lorna, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Are you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
All right. Question number 1. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
I think the first piece of advice would be to keep in mind why you're doing it. When you're a writer, you love writing and you love what you're writing about. So always keep that in the forefront of your mind, because writing is not, I'm traditionally published, and it's not easy. I never met a writer who sold their first book or sold their book on the first try. So keep that passion in mind when you're submitting that manuscript, and keep going and revise if you need to, but keep going and remember it's what you love to do, so you need to do it.
And what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
For traditional publishing, dealing with the no's and not giving up from hearing that. I have 3 traditionally published books, and I've heard, a lot of no's. So it's just pushing forward and knowing that it's going to happen, but it may not be on your, time that you want it to happen. But if you keep going, it can happen.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that has worked well.
Well, to be honest, this is a area of my life I could probably do better. This is where I struggle a little bit. I have done some book signings at Barnes & Noble and whatnot, and in that store in particular, they like to know that people are going to be coming in. So it's good if you have an affiliation with a town or with a school or something like that. So I have 2 children in elementary, so I worked with that school, and everybody came. So having some kind of end like that helps. But again, I wasn't pushing a book I self-published, so I didn't get any money from it. It was just more of an exposure issue.
Got it. And you bring up some good points, too, because another thing is that Rotary clubs that you may be a part of, or being a part of a Chamber of Commerce, there's a lot of ways to make inroads to have them come out to support you. But you're right. When Barnes & Noble and some of these other places have those book signings, they want you to be bringing your tribe with you. So that's always one of the challenges to fill the room, so to speak. Right.
Yes. They wanted that room filled, and we filled it. But, yeah, it's fun, though, if you can do it. And, yes, just get involved. Get involved and let them know what you do.
So what are some pieces of advice that you would give to our audience in regards to filling that room for the book signings? You mentioned you're connected with locally, but what specifically were you doing to help get those people to go to Barnes & Noble to celebrate your book signing with you?
Well, I had to tell people I was a writer, and that sounds like such an obvious thing, but I have a personality that's not, it's more of a creative personality and not such the marketing personality. So it's actually sometimes a little difficult for me to do that. I'm like, well, I do write and have these books. So I just had to tell people. I was like, hey, and then they would tell people, and then they would tell people, and, I was surprised at the turnout. A lot of people came. So just talking and not being shy about it. That's what you need to do.
Well, and that's kind of a funny story, too, because locally here, I don't really talk too much about my own book. So I'm going to talk about being a publisher, about helping people. But, a lot of my friends in the chamber, they know. So when they introduced me, it's like, oh, by the way, he's a 14-time best-selling author. And people just look at me and just their jaws just drop. They're like, oh, what did you just say? 14-time bestseller. When we talk about a proven system, it's not a tagline. It's a spoiler. We have a system. Right. So it really does get that attention where you're like, oh, we didn't think of you as a writer. I'm like, well, writer, publisher, book marketer. It's what we do. Right. We write and we know things. You know what I mean?
but I can't introduce myself like that. You know what I mean? Like, so yes, it helps to have friends that can do it. I can do that for you. I'm much more of a person that like talks to people, tries to get them to tell their story, and less of a talk about me kind of person. But yeah, it helps when people know, so they can tell other people.
Exactly. You're not the one shouting off the roof. They're doing it for you. But it's just always funny when you get that reaction. Like, oh, how many books? And how many years? I'm like, 14 books, 4 years. They're like, how did you do that? I'm like, I just didn't sleep much. 24 hours in a day, you got to maximize that time. And it's like, when we talk about systems, that's what we're talking about.
You do. You really do have to maximize that time, yeah.
Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
I have a hard time with these questions because I like a lot of books for a lot of different reasons. But I will tell you, I eat up psychology books and books about the mind. Just because I'm a brain person, I like to try to understand the way people think. So I guess a book that I've gone back to many times is The Power of the Subconscious Mind, written by Joseph Murphy. He's got scattered in there a lot of real life examples. So it's a good read. As far as other books, I like a good setting, and one of my passions is travel. So any work of fiction that will take me there, I love. And it just puts me right there, a really cool setting. I'll eat that up. So yeah, I really like a variety of books, but I say that books about the brain, I really like to read those.
And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
Okay. Well, I like, there's a quote called Life. It says, "Life is too important to be taken seriously." I think it's Oscar Wilde. And I like that one because we tend to take life very seriously. And, it should be taken seriously, but we also need to have fun. So, yes, remember, have fun. And I also like another one. It's, never let the odds keep you from doing what you know in your heart you're meant to do. The odds aren't always the best for us writers. But if you know, just keep going. And don't let those odds keep you from doing what you know in your heart you're meant to do. Because if you're passionate about something, you're gonna do it well. I really believe that.
I do too. I mean, if you're not doing what you love, you shouldn't be doing it.
Exactly.
Well, Lorna, I want to thank you for being a guest on this show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Okay. Well, I have a website, lornagutierrez.com, GUTIERREZ. I have an Instagram, Lorna Gutierrez _author. And I have a new Facebook page. It's at Lorna Gutierrez Author. If you want to see a video I've done, there's one up on YouTube. It's an interview I did with my publisher of my new book, Dare. They're located in London. So there's a YouTube video up there if you want to watch me talk about that and where the book came from. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And I'll always respond, if you have a question. I'd be happy to speak.
Excellent. Well, Lorna, I want to thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.